Hi everyone! In this video let's look at the form. Edit form. That is, let's say we have such a set. Let's see how it is implemented. Click the Edit. The second icon is needed in order to copy a form. That is, if we click on it, so it gives us some SQL. All this form a great big SQL, and we can easily copy this to some new laptop to another instance. That is, if we have such a possibility, you can pretty quickly implement new changes. If we spent in your core, did some form of interesting which may be useful. We can quickly transfer it to another project in a couple of clicks, which is very important because this way you can quickly create the transfer functionality. In fact, any component in the system, meaning a component created within the framework of Falcon. It is essentially SQL code. You just need to extract it correctly, compose it, and transfer it. That's it. Let's move on. We return in our form. We look at it, so it also has a very similar structure. There are some parameters. There are columns, extraction, elements. There is an elements check when saving there. And there is the saving itself. It is possibility to display a certain status, is a pie chart. For example, field by 30%. There is verification of the field. That is, if we change a single field, saving a single field. There is a regime where we can to save a single field, so we change it left him, and accordingly the field from remains. This is useful for big forms, where necessary that fields in a single save instead of the such each time to scroll down to look for the save button. Snippets to use snippets. Custom markings are respectively the generation of custom markup for the form. It is generated, you can copy and paste it respectively there. Custom markup is not used here, but in general, if it is necessary, you can try to use it. So, let's go back to our form. We see it has a product here, quantity. Note that the first field, this is a hint. That is, this is a very convenient feature. When you have standard fields in, we can display them at the bottom. Just click, and it fills it here. Or we can add something from ourselves. Let's look at the product column. Here the type is set. That is the chosen list. It adds the list with search. If we start to select we can select or find the voice recorder, searchable list, and the multi-line text. Here the main parameters. Required field, only the first two. The last fields are optional. Next, in getItem, we look at what we have to set the initial values. That is, we can set some values. Just note that here creates an example. That is examples of filling in fields. This is also such an approach of prefix fields, when we can set certain property for a field through such SQL. We know in advanced example, underscores and fields names are example of filling in a certain field. This is an important point. If you can custom layout, you will need to specify additional elements. That is, by default it works only for non-custom layout. And in the custom layout, you must specify additional fields. Now, let's see if there are here. Oh, here's call example. We will add examples here. This field has recently appeared, so it is displayed here. So, we have dealt with this. And this is how the form works. GetItem is done, then check items. Check items by default does not do much. Here is the main logic of the same written here. Save to do and insert element. We can also do additional check if it is necessary and accordingly give the result. Again, as you can see, we do several select. The first one gives results and some control action. For example, translates to some URL, or hide or not hide the form, in the case hide. If the form is model, it will hide the model window. That is, if the form is not model respectively, it will simply hide it. And which container to update. It is important to update the container, in this case the table, so it will update the container accordingly after saving. And the second action is call to some external action. An external action is a kind of notification either externally or some kind of cache update. That is what happens on the server side. These are the actions that must perform server and which cannot be directly executed in SQL. For example, to send mail, we cannot directly from SQL. We cannot send SMS from SQL. Or that we do external action and the system process, if it is an external action. We have to handle but if a set of external action. So, that's all I guess. This is our first example. The place mark is described here. By the way, we changed the form, but it says that you have unsaved data. This is also convenient, because you accidentally click escape, for example, here I am writing something and accidentally clicked escape. And this is a problem, that the data will simply be closed. Therefore, we have implemented such a thing, so that data is not lost. Here it is described in more detail which element in the table are signature, fields, prefixes, that is numbering. It is also configurable. It may be or may not be. From the following videos, we will look at these additional topics. If you have some interesting suggestion on how to improve the table, would be interesting to hear, because the component table is the most important in general. In the system it has many variations. Well, the output of maps is also in general a table. Equally, components is used for so many different conclusions. If you have interest in any idea, please write to us. Thank you for attention.